Well, hello, folks. Welcome. Good afternoon, good morning, or in some cases, thanks a lot for taking some of your lunch hour to join us for this week's Quick Take webinar by Lojua. These webinars take about 15 minutes of your time every week, and we hope that by the end of that short amount of time, you come away with one or two things you didn't know when we began. So, speaking of beginning, let's get started right away. And we will, as soon as I figure out how to use my computer, we will go to the topic of today's quick take session: how smart picking drives warehouse efficiency. Um, and specifically, we're going to talk about smart picking, its comparison to other existing methodologies for picking in our warehouses. And when we talk smart picking, we're not just saying picking smartly, which of course is a good thing. We all want to do that. We're talking about an actual method called smart picking. So more to come. That's a little bit further down our 15-minute path here. Um, and so let's get into this, start talking about this, and also we'll be presenting a case study at the end of how we've helped our customers out in the wild implement this type of technology for picking and methodology. All right, so here are the three topics that we're going to talk through. General picking strategies, then on to that definition of smart picking and how it works. And then let's wrap up with a comparison using actually pulling statistics, real world statistics, comparing a methodology of cluster versus smart picking, where cluster picking is oftentimes considered one of the more sophisticated methodologies currently in use. So let's get started. Let's talk about general picking strategies. Now, I have to share, usually for those of you who've joined us for other quick takes, usually I have a partner in crime here, and often it's Jamie Bobka, my good friend, who is going to join us today. Jamie could not join us, so I have the honor, and you have the misfortune of having me here with you today. But Jamie's speaker notes, as I'm looking at them here, call out, Wayne, I don't know where you get these quotes. Okay, well, the answer is my mind is full of decades of absolutely useless trivia. Is the answer, Jamie. So that said, strategies are great. You do have to look at results, though. And that's something we'll get into when we look at the case study here in a moment. But again, most of you, if you're here listening to this webinar, probably know the definitions of most of these picking strategies here. So I wouldn't necessarily read what you can see here on the screen to you. But we'll mention, kind of the obvious, which is that each of these methods are popular and effective in different scenarios, different applications, or different business models that you may have, whether you're a 3PL with many clients, a brand just running your own warehouse with maybe multiple product lines, or maybe just one or two. All of those things go into the calculus of deciding which of these type of picking methodologies is best. For example, order picking. It's really the most basic type of picking. You get an order, you go pick it, right? Very simple to implement, and also probably a sufficient methodology for low volume operations. Benefit, you're going to reduce errors, right? One order, one person, boom. Very much kind of hard to make an error in that scenario. But again, not very efficient, especially as you get in a higher volume direct to consumer operations, right? Cluster picking is one of kind of the two steps up from order-based picking that warehouse operators will take. As order volumes increase, more efficient picking obviously becomes necessary. And with cluster picking, you're now picking from multiple orders, similar items, multiple orders. And it is a great kind of first step, a pivot, and because it takes minimal amount of change to your processes and your software usually to move from order-based to cluster-based picking. That said, it does not take advantage of all of the things that you can in order to optimize your picking strategies. Zone picking being kind of the other, in addition to cluster, in comparison rather to cluster picking path up from order-based picking. If you go to kind of a zone-based picking strategy, this is great, especially if your warehouse is growing, in size, square foot, and complexity of operations. It's going to really focus on reducing your travel times, your walking path optimization for your pickers or your pickers plus robot, hybrid operation you may have. However, doing this begs the need for some more complex upfront warehouse analysis and implementation of warehouse modeling into your software. Okay, so I said I wasn't going to go too much into all of these, but I did just kind of want to give you all an overview or refresher on the different strategies that are out there. And also, however, remind you that that this is not the end of things. In fact, kind of the point of this quick take is to talk about another method that takes parts of these methods and then complements, adds to them to make it much more intelligent. And that is, of course, smart picking. So, so what do we mean by this? So smart picking, kind of simply put, it's using more than one or two simple attributes or characteristics of an order to group and segment them into picking tasks. Instead, you're using multiple attributes from your orders to build out these jobs, these picking tasks that and build them out in a way that is optimized. Again, based on the algorithms that are driving this. So, for example, when you implement true smart picking, a true smart picking strategy and software within your company, you're going to use things such as timing, location, zone, matching SKUs, and then single versus multi-item, just to name a few of the dimensions that we'll look at, for example, in our software and other companies who implement this type of solution will look at to create your smart picking algorithms and thus implement that strategy for you through your software. So again, just by way of comparison, with smart picking, we use these algorithms and logic trees to replace much more simplistic kind of grouping or siloing mechanics. So instead of saying things like group all orders by SKU and go, or send all orders with these SKUs to the pickers in zone 1. And that's the extent of the algorithm. Essentially, we go far beyond that, and smart picking goes far beyond that. You're now layering multiple logic sets. For example, let's say, again, it's a simplistic example of using multiple dimensions, but grab all single item orders, then split them by SKU, then create tasks for the single item orders from SKU X, and then other tasks for multi-item orders containing SKU Y, etc., etc. This is the level of control that you can have over establishing your picking algorithms when you use smart picking. So, all right. Please, talking about layering, please don't be intimidated by this slide. It looks like a lot of spaghetti there in the middle. That's kind of on purpose to show you that is what the smart algorithms behind smart picking are doing. Now, this is actually a very simplistic example in this slide of smart picking. So let's take you through it really quick. You see a list of orders on the left. These are just orders coming in as they do, right? No particular order to the orders necessarily. And on the right-hand side, as we move over, as you see that complex mapping that's going on, that's the algorithms, that's the software doing this based on, in this case, just a few dimensions, keeping this example simple. And you see how the different attributes of the orders are being leveraged for grouping. In this case, grouping into 4 different job types that can then be issued out, and assigned to your different pickers or pickers and robot teams in your warehouse. In this, again, you can see that we're using just a few layers here, a few dimensions to break these down. We're using SKU quantity, we're using multi-item versus single item. really that's the very basic breakdown you see in this example. In a real world scenario, there'd be many more dimensions. Now, to go through the 4 jobs, in the first job, you've got single item orders, identical SKUs and quantity values. That's one set of jobs. The second is single matched, single item orders, identical SKUs, but different quantities, right? It could be 2 or more. Boom, those become a different job. Third job, single item orders, but varying SKUs, okay, which kind of makes sense, and how that would be a different type of picking path and picking algorithm. And then finally, everything else that's left is generally going to be a multi-item order with varying SKUs and varying quantities. So again, we take orders as they're coming in no particular order. And again, in this very simple example, we've grouped it into 4 different optimized job types. So that very simply is how smart picking works. So again, if you have any questions, folks, as we go through this, I know I've got 4 minutes left to be technically on our 15 minutes. So we don't have a lot of time for live questions at the end of these. However, please do put your questions in the chat area. We will be getting back to you ASAP with any answers, or again, any requests for additional information. All right, with that, let's finish up with the case study. Now, a quick side note here. Before I forget to mention it, if you're interested, you can download this full case study that we've done on cluster versus smart picking. It's our picking strategies guide on our website. Encourage you to visit that. But again, also we're happy to proactively send it to you. Just let us know you'd like to have it in the chat, and we'll send that white paper to you on picking strategies. Okay, and in that has a full blowout of this entire case study. But let's just talk about the summary really quickly here. Basically, give a little bit of context. We analyzed a scenario for cluster versus smart, where in both cases we were picking 1,000 single item orders, 1,500 single item multi-quantity orders, and then 2,500 multi-item orders. And that was the test scenario for again, both of these methodologies. The results, you can see them. Hopefully you've probably been looking at them. I'd like to call your attention to the very bottom right. You see time saved versus, cluster versus smart, versus smart picking. The overall time saved when using smart picking over cluster in this case, 48% saved picking, but note 69% saved packing. So again, this goes to the philosophy and, well, just the fact that what you do upstream in the workflow of your warehouse optimization affects what happens downstream. Again, our previous quick take that we've done on directed put away does mention how when you do intelligent put away, it's going to help your picking down the road. Well, now you implement on top of that intelligent, smart picking algorithms. It's going to improve all the way down through your packing, the packing function in your warehouse, as is demonstrated in this case study. Which again, very much encourage you to take a look at that on our website, or again requested from us. Happy to share that with you. So let's recap now. I've got 1 minute left to do this. Occasionally we go a couple minutes over, folks, of our 15-minute promise, but your three quick see what we did there, takeaways for today. Basically, first, there is no one size fits all picking strategy. You may not need something terribly sophisticated depending on your operations, but do make sure that it's an intentional decision that you're making about that strategy. Know the pros and cons, compare them to your operational needs, and that should set the direction that you go. That said, especially as the vast majority of our clients do have high volume needs and more complex warehousing requirements, at that point we suggest that you get into multi-dimensional picking strategies, i.e. smart picking. You do not have to use just simple buckets. when doing your picking, when creating picking strategies. Multi-layered criteria have a lot of positive impacts. But again, no free lunch, right? You do have to have context and understanding of what you're trying to do, and then the technology to execute it. But finally, the good news is that technology does exist. Consultants are available to talk to you about this, and we've done the math, and actually have been able to show multiple scenarios that smart picking can make a dramatic impact on your overall efficiency of operations, to the tune of 70% reduction in fulfillment times if you are implementing it in such a way, with the technology that supports it and in a way that supports your processes. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us on yet another Logiwa Quick Take webinar. Again, look for your invitations. These pop up on every other Friday or so, where again, we hope you're taking something away. We would love to hear from you. If you'd like more information, again, please let us know in the chat. Visit us on our website if you'd like to actually speak to one of our product experts, like to learn a little bit more about Logiwa, our WMS systems, how we may be able to help you. We certainly encourage that. Logiwa.com/request a demo, hyphens between those words. Thank you very much for your time, everyone. Hope if you're here live with us, hope you have a great weekend. If you're watching this on demand, hope you have a great rest of your day. Take care and stay safe.